Hello everyone and welcome to our Croke Park Hour webinar. Thank you for taking this time as a staff to reflect on the theme of ethos in your school. We hope you find this webinar helpful, informative and enjoyable. We also hope this opens up some positive, constructive and respectful staff discussions afterwards, where you might, as a team, review your school's approach to ethos and religious education. My name is Christina Scanlon and I am one of your diocesan advisors. There are 4 of us on the team. Not every school gets the opportunity to meet all 4 of us, so I'd like to introduce you to the rest of our team now.
Hello, I'm Kieran Coffey.
I'm Diarmuid McCarthy.
Agus is Misha Diarmuid O'Callig.
We will now hear a special message from our Bishop, Bishop Ray Brown, who hails from the lovely Midlands town of Athlone. We are honoured to have him as our Bishop here in the Diocese of Kerry, and on behalf of the team, it is a pleasure to work with him.
Greetings, one and all. I'm grateful for this opportunity to talk to you about school life in terms of the ethos, the culture, the spirit of a Catholic school. As teachers, you appreciate the privilege it is to be involved in the flourishing, in the development of the children. And today I want to say a special thanks. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for the whole school community and your care for all the children in your care. Children differ from one another in terms of their gifts, their talents, their abilities. And each of them develops uniquely as time passes, as the years go by. In your case, in the years in school. When you think of it, the world that children grow up in keeps evolving and changing, yet it's the same process of each of them flourishing, each of them flowering, each of them developing. Regarding faith, it is vital that home and parish play their part alongside the school. Grow in Love, which is proving a popular series, asks that Thursday evenings, that the work of the week, that the children discuss with their parents. This is a good step forward. Let's keep encouraging it. In a Catholic school, the central emphasis is on the dignity and value of each child as created and loved by God. Equally, emphasis on getting the balance right between the individual and being a family member and being a community member. Teachers to emphasise such values as love and friendship, justice, compassion, care for others, kindness, goodness. All these values are vital and precious. The one value I want to focus on is simply belief in God, belief in a Creator. I believe in Jesus Christ. More and more I believe it's something vital to share with children. In our world today, many people of all ages lack the confidence to say simply, I believe in God. And yet belief in God is like an anchor, is a blessing, is a stabilizing thing in all of our lives. To talk about Jesus. Jesus was a wonderful, wonderful human being, yet he was much more than that. He was from God, he was of God, he was God. In Jesus, God the Father sent his Son. The sole reason for Jesus' coming was to reveal that God knows and loves each one of us, and that God was offering us salvation. God is with us, he supports us in life, and he has opened the gates of heaven, opened the gates to eternal life for all of us. Yes, we can say Jesus had wonderful human qualities. For example, he had a beautiful message. Respect, encourage one another, help one another. That's what he asked of us. Be kind to the weak, the sick, the disabled, the poor. He had a beautiful message. He had wonderful stories to communicate his message. Think of the poor man and Lazarus. Think of the story of the Good Samaritan. Think of the widow's mite. Alongside that, he was a man of prayer. In the Bible it says, next day, early in the morning, He got up and went off to a lonely place to pray. Equally, in his darkest hour, he went to the Garden of Gethsemane to pray. And of us, he said, go to your room, pray quietly, pray privately. Prayer isn't about making a show of things. That was Jesus, and he wasn't all talk. His deeds matched his words. He helped people, he cared for people, he cured people. He stood up for people who were being badly treated. That was Jesus, but there is another side. Yes, Jesus was a wonderful human being, but incredibly, marvellously, mysteriously, he was much more. It's the great mystery, the mystery of creation, the mystery of the Creator, the mystery of God, the mystery of God come among us. That was Jesus. Just think of three situations that point to his divinity, that point to the fact that he was of God. Think of his baptism in the Jordan. There was a great disturbance in the sky, and a voice said, "You are my Son, the Beloved. My favour rests on you." Another situation, the Transfiguration, where Jesus took with him up the high mountain Peter and James and John, and there he was transfigured. His face shone like the sun. He was visited by Moses and Elijah, and again a voice from heaven said, "This is my Son, the Beloved. He enjoys my favour. Listen to him." Third thing I mention is one we're most familiar with, the resurrection. Think of the empty tomb Easter morning, the women coming there, finding the tomb empty, and then meeting someone and realising it was Jesus they were meeting. And he telling them to go and tell the disciples, go and tell the apostles. And then he appearing in the upper room to the apostles more than once. Remember his appearing there and Thomas doubting it was him. And ultimately Thomas's act of faith, my Lord and my God. We have to get that balance that Jesus was a wonderful human being. But alongside that, he was more. He was God come to us. And he is God with us. Remember the last words of Matthew's Gospel, "Know that I am with you always." And that's the great challenge, for us ourselves to get the balance right between Jesus as the wonderful human being and Jesus as God come among us. And for children and for all of us to have that sense of Jesus as God. Jesus asks of us, "Love one another as I have loved you." Jesus assures us death is the door to new life in the kingdom of God. And this is my one major point today. How can we help children have a sense of God, a sense of their hope in God and trusting in God? That just like the children, as they trust in their parents, look to their parents, so too they will put their hope in God and look to God. And that will be with them lifelong. And it isn't the same for us. We're called to put our hope in God, to journey trusting in God, his help, his guidance, as children trust in their parents. And just to see that in the angel of God, the modern angel of God that ye know so well. Angel sent by God to guide me. Be my light and walk beside me. Be my guardian and protect me. On the path of life, direct me. Thank you for listening to me. I'm delighted to have this opportunity to share these few thoughts with you. Every continued blessing on the whole school community. Every continued blessing on all the children and their families. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you very much, Bishop Ray. I would now like to ask you to briefly pause, take a few moments silently and reflect upon the following question. What does ethos mean to you? Keeping in mind what your thoughts were there, I would now like to introduce you to one of our friends in CPSMA, Rory Darcy, the Education Executive.
Hi, my name is Rory Darcy. I work as an advisor with CPSMA, that's the Catholic Primary School Management Association. I've done that job for the last 3 years, and I spend most of my time meeting and talking to boards of management, chairpersons and principals right around the country. But for a long time before that, I was a teacher and a principal teacher in St Oliver's National School in Ballykasheen in Killarney. I've been asked by the diocesan team to say a few words on ethos and what ethos means to me. And really, in the short time I have, I just want to talk a little bit about our mission statement and our school mission statement. For many of us, the school mission statement is on the wall in the corridor somewhere. Maybe it's something we haven't looked at recently. So maybe as a school community, to take some time to look at your mission statement and see how it relates to our ethos. How does it relate to the life of Jesus? And how do we see it each and every day in our schools? For us in St Oliver's, our mission statement consisted of 3 senses. In other words, we wanted our children, as they left us, as they lived their lives through our school, we wanted them to experience 3 different aspects that they would see Jesus in each and every day in our care. And they were a sense of worth, a sense of place, and a sense of God. So that sense of worth, all of us at times, our worth can be undermined. We are sensitive. My brother always maintained secretly, we're all only 12. We all have a fragile sense of our own worth. And for our children in our care every day, we want them to appreciate their worth, to know that they are unique and loved by God. They are created in the image of God. And that sense of worth is a very practical thing. It's expressed in how we teach, how the children learn, how we respect each other's opinions, how we talk to each other. You can't have a sense of your own worth if you feel you're struggling with your work. You can't have a sense of your own worth if you feel that somebody's laughing at you because, for whatever reason that may be. So a sense of worth is a very practical thing, but it's also one of the 3 pillars, I believe, of our ethos. The second being a sense of place. In Kerry, we have a real sense of place. We're very proud of the place we come from, the parish where we live. And that is really part of who we are. It is part of our ethos and something to celebrate. And that includes celebrating our traditions, our culture, our language, our Dongadúchas, our music, and all that makes us who we are. But as well as that, we are living in the now. And we have very many people who have come from different places, different parts of Ireland, different parts of the world, to be part of the story of Kerry. And how we welcome those families and those children in particular in our school is a very central part of our ethos. An American cardinal once had a great quote that always stuck with me, and I can't remember who he was, but he had a great quote. He said, "We don't teach children because they're Catholic, but because we are. We don't teach children because they're Catholic, but because we are." And that sense of welcome is part of the message that Jesus has given to us and part of our ethos. The third and final aspect is a sense of God. To put God at the centre of what we do, to recognise Him in the ordinary things that we see about us every day, whether it's in our green flag and its link with Laudato Si. There's a fantastic resource which we'll put in the link to this video called Living Our Ethos. And it was a checklist of different ideas of things we can practically do in school where we can really see God alive and with us. It means, in practical sense, making sure we get the chance to do our Grow in Love programme each and every day in our classrooms. It's about looking around us and seeing the life of Jesus in the actions of the ordinary. If you like, it's finding the extraordinary in the ordinary. But we would hope that by looking at your mission statement and trying to find those senses, for us it was the sense of worth, the sense of place, and that sense of God. And the sense of God obviously is through all the wonderful celebrations we have in school all through the year, whether it be from Catholic Schools Week to confirmation to communion to all the events that are milestones in the year. But it's also in the everyday. It's the chance for prayer, it's the chance for welcome. As an idea to take away from this meeting, wouldn't it be a wonderful thing if we could, as a school community, decide, let's welcome every child to school every day, because that's what Jesus would want from us, to welcome every child, to say, do you know, Kieran, it's lovely to see you, you're welcome. Rory, it's lovely to see you. Mary, Pavel, it's lovely to see you, it's great. And that'll never cheapen, because we all want to feel we belong.
Thank you so much, Rory. I hope that the 3 senses have resonated with you all. and that they are something we can each take forward daily into both our personal and teaching lives. So now, as your diocesan advisors, we each have a brief message which we would like to share with you. Firstly, we will hear from Diarmuid McCarthy.
Thank you, Christina. So I have been working as a diocesan advisor since I retired in 2018. It has been a privilege for me to work in this capacity. I am forever enthralled by the amount of good work that's going on in our schools. It is my earnest belief that if the children don't get a taste of a faith-filled life at school, then many of the children in our classes may not get the opportunity to experience any form of faith or a sense of God in their lives. I know that a huge amount of faith-based work is going on in schools, and I hope that that work will continue. We teach the Grow and Love programme, which I believe is a wonderful programme. I actually love it myself. The way we treat children is our most important role as teachers. Children may not remember much of what we teach them, but they will remember how we made them feel. I think if we keep that in our minds every morning as we enter the classroom, we're in a good space, both for ourselves and for the children in our care. We need to think about the children sitting in front of us. We don't always know what experiences they've had at home or in their communities in the previous night or the previous days. Sometimes school may be a refuge for some children. Unfortunately, that is the world in which we're living. Perhaps it was always this way. I think back to when I started teaching in 1974. I didn't have any support in helping children with learning difficulties. Nowadays, the facilities are second to none, and I think we are in a great space. In fact, I've often said to people, I think I'd love to be starting back teaching again, because schools today are just such wonderful places. We often speak about what space the children are coming into school from in the morning. We must also be cognizant of what pressures ourselves and fellow teachers are under as well. We need to bring as much love and camaraderie as possible into the classroom and into the staff room. Notwithstanding the fact that there are difficult days at school, we must always do our best to look after the children in our care and to make sure that we make them feel valued and loved and supported, no matter what the circumstances are. We should treat fellow staff members in the same way. My next thought really is, I would like to share with you my favourite lesson. It is in the 5th class Grow and Love programme, and it's only a very small section on page 50 of the children's book. It is called The Tale of Two Seeds. A Tale of Two Seeds. One evening, a grandfather told his grandson about a battle that goes on inside people. He said, "My son, the battle is between two seeds inside us all. One seed wants to sprout anger, jealousy, greed, self-pity, guilt, lies, and the feeling of being better than anyone else. The other seed wants to sprout joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, kindness, generosity, truth, and faith." The grandson thought about this for a minute, and then he asked his grandfather, "Which seed wins?" The grandfather replied, "The one you feed." I like this lesson because it emphasizes the fact that we have a free will and we can choose whether to feed the good seed or the bad seed. If we want to be followers of Jesus Christ, we must feed the good seed. This is just one interesting example of the important values taught in the Grow and Love programme. We teach in Catholic schools. I think it's important to ask children if this means that only Catholic children can attend. Their lived experience of life in today's classrooms informs them that Catholic schools welcome children of all faiths or of none. We need to remind them of this. Why is this so? Because Jesus asks us to treat other people the way we would like to be treated. And that is exactly what we do in Catholic schools. As children in any class, how can we treat other children, whether at home, at school, at play, or anywhere? And they are brilliant at answering these questions. Because our schools and teachers do a brilliant job teaching the message that Jesus taught us. We need to emphasize the need for God in our lives. And prayer is a huge part of this. We can pray in our own words, as well as using formal prayer. My prayer today is that teachers will continue the good work of passing on the faith and give children the opportunity to develop a loving relationship with God and realize that God loves each and every one of us. We believe that this loving God forgives us when we stray. May God reward you for the work you do. Now you will hear from my colleague, Kieran Coffey.
Thank you, Diarmuid. Hello, everybody. As diocesan advisor, I have seen firsthand the wonderful work being done in our schools throughout the diocese. Pre-COVID, we gave in-service courses in centres throughout Kerry, introducing Grow and Love programme as it became available to the various classes. Many of you attended these courses. Since then, you may have moved on to teaching other classes, and many new teachers have joined our schools. Because of this, we felt that it would be useful if we had a recap on what resources were available in Grow and Love and on the teaching methods used. The ethos of a Catholic school tells us of the great commandment, love God and love each other, and that this should permeate the whole school day. When we were appointed as teachers in Catholic schools, we gave a commitment to follow this ethos and also to deliver religious education based on the curriculum approved in 2015. This curriculum gives us the content of what we are to teach. It would be very difficult if we were to go and try and make out a whole school plan or even individual teacher plans to cover what we are expected to teach. Fortunately for us, all aspects of the curriculum are wonderfully covered in the Grow and Love series. So we are saved the task of making out our own plans. In practical terms, this means that each teacher should work from the teacher's manual and all the children should use the pupil's book. It's all done for us here. The role of the teacher is paramount in delivering religious education to our children. Because it has been so well structured and in many cases devised by teachers, the Grow and Love series has been very well received by teachers and pupils alike. The resources in the teacher's manual, pupil's book and online are excellent. But it has been said that the best teaching comes from the heart, not from the book. By using the Grow and Love resources, we are sure that we cover all aspects of the curriculum given to us in 2015. One thing that I found most interesting in my visits to classes is that, in general, with some exceptions, parents of children of different faiths and none have no objection to their inclusion in the Grow and Love classes. This is especially true in the younger classes. Our approach to Grow and Love is spiral. As with all curricular subjects, the building blocks are laid down in the junior classes and expanded upon in the senior classes. In maths, for example, junior class teachers introduce the concept of number to the children, and senior class teachers continue and expand on that. So too with Grow and Love. We all bring our own individual talents to teaching, but we must also be aware of the broader picture. We are all part of a team and we depend on the teachers before us and after us, and they depend on us to deliver the programme to the children. For example, preparation for First Confession. which traditionally fell to the first communion class teacher, is now covered in first class and revised in second class when they actually receive the sacrament. The Holy Spirit is introduced long before fifth and sixth, long before the pupils receive confirmation. Bishop Ray spoke about the influence that Jesus should have in our lives. So let's now have a brief look at how Grow in Love deals with the theme of Jesus in first class. There are 5 lessons on the theme in first class, and here they are. Let's look briefly at the first lesson, which is we learn about Jesus from the Bible. In the teacher's manual, the page 52 before you begin is a great starting point for our lesson. Here we see what the children have already learned in earlier classes. The following approach is used in all lessons in all classes, junior to 6th, and covers a week's work. We are mindful of the fact that the teaching of RE has been reduced in the new timetable guidelines from the traditional 30 minutes per day to 2 hours per week. As teachers, we've all had the experience of trying to finish a maths lesson, for example, and eating into the precious time allocated to religion classes. We believe that it's important that time be given each day for the Grow in Love lesson. The approach is laid out as follows. Monday, let's look. Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, let's learn. Friday, let's live. Let's look. On Monday, we get the children to think about what they already know about Jesus through a game and a Vox Pop video. We continue the work begun in first class on the learning of the Our Father. Let's learn Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. We introduce new stories about Jesus using online interactive stories. 3 stories might seem a lot, but you will see when you use the online resources that they are quite short and interesting. We continue with the teaching of the song When Jesus Was a Boy, to be found online. And if you have time, we have a drama, some role play about Jesus and his friends. On Thursday, the children take home the pupils' book and chat with their parents about what they have learned in school during the week. In my earlier days teaching, we spoke of the 3-legged stool. The faith was passed on in the home, in the parish, and in the school. For many and various reasons, for example, scarcity of clergy, we in Catholic schools have now become even more pivotal in the passing on of the faith. So contact with the parents is vital. This is why the sending home of the book on Thursday has become even more important. My young granddaughter, who's in junior infants, is very proud of her Grow in Love book and is delighted to show what she has done and learned in the school during the week. Let's live. On Friday, we discuss what we have learned about Jesus and how we use this knowledge in our daily lives. Full guided meditation. A very important element of the Grow in Love is the creation of a living prayer space. Dermot will talk about this soon. In this brief recap of presenting Grow in Love, I haven't touched on many aspects of the material available for the multi-class situation or the fantastic resources online, for example. But I hope that this brief recap of our approach to teaching the Grow in Love programme will prove to be a benefit to you. Thank you for your time. Gur maithagibh agus gnádaí libh leis an obair fíortáideach atá a dhéanamh agaibh. I would now like to hand over to my colleague, Deborah Kelly.
Thanks, Kieran, for the introduction. Spás or ní. Multar spás or ní a bheith sa seomáranga agus a hallan na scoile. An líon freisin is féidir cuine le lasa agus padair a scríomh. Is féidir bheith ciún an ad féin ann. Cumann tú do chuid fadar féin. Cíonn tú na padracha atá rá ag páistí is scoilne eile ar fúg na tíre. Cad a bhéig sa spás or ní? Well, ar an gléadal síos, éadach nó an brat ag athrú leis an bliain liturga. An sin freisin beag an Bíbla Beag an Biblia sa spásor ní I gcónaí. Fannan an Biblia sa seomáranga. Bhí an Biblia oscailte leathanach atá ag dul leis an ceacht atá a bhúna agat. Póstéir mar an ggéan leis an Biblia ag dul leis an ceacht. Cuineal, beag cuineal ann. Symbol de Isa is sé an solas sa spásor ní. Isa an solas Ros sail. An chéimhnóir is an cosantóir. Bíon rudí eile atá speisialta den rang mar hampla, isce, cuiseacha. Má bhí tuismóthóir Ros go Lourdes, nó Cnúc Mhuire, nó Medjugorje, beidir gur thug siad isce, cuiseacha a bhaile leo. Padrín páirteach, beag dealabhán, agus déadfá bláhanna agus mar sin de. Is féidir cuir leis mar a iarrainn sé don rang agus den ceacht. Children are involved in the creation of the prayer space. The prayer space is relevant to life of the classroom. They might like to place a thought for the week, maybe a worry box, on the prayer space. The children can place their prayers for their various intentions there. Kohahu. It can be integrated with other subjects on the curriculum. Kohahu le haver ele. It can be part of their artwork, can be religious artwork. It can be linked to independent writing, or they can compose their own prayers. Grim son, agus leanart skrif. Faith words linked to vocabulary building. Being an spás arúnach don ceacht agus don rang. Children are naturally spiritual, so the classroom could reflect this. Nuair hálíonn rudúntaach nó fiú go bhfuil tíorann rudú fásach, déadach an spásar ní é sin a léarú. Is cabhré deáil le cibé rud a hálíonn is saoil an linimh, is saoil an seomáranga, is saoil an pharóiste, saoil an cóphobal, cibé, olc, má, nó idir etere. In ach seomra ranga, beag páistí a bheith bútha, a bheith áthasach ó go céile. Cabhraíonn an spásod ní dóibh dulling lech leis na mothúcáin seo. Bring your worries to the Lord and leave them there. Cohítar an creidirh tríd an spás ó ní. Hand you back now to Christina.
Thank you, Dermot. I am a primary teacher currently on career break. I began my role as a diocesan advisor in January 2024. It is a privilege to have this opportunity to visit the many schools in the Diocese of Kerry and to meet so many wonderful principals, teachers, staff and of course the lovely children. The Diocese of Kerry reaches from northern parishes like Tarbert to southern parishes such as Castletownbere and Bere Island, and from west to east, Ballyferriter to Drumtariff and Mill Street in Cork. It's quite a large diocese containing 149 primary schools under the Catholic patronage. So, what is our role as diocesan advisors? We would like to think of our role as one of affirming the good work that we already see in schools. We are here to support and encourage you, the principals, teachers, boards of management, school staff and pupils. We would like to remind schools of their Catholic patronage and the importance of living out our Catholic ethos each day in school life, as well as providing faith formation and sacramental preparation to our primary children. As primary teachers, we play a huge role in forming the faith of the children entrusted to our care. We understand and value the importance of this responsibility, and through our school visits as diocesan advisors, we would hope to be a support and an encouragement to you wherever you are at in your own personal faith journey. It is lovely to meet Bishop Ray and be confident in relaying the wonderful work, spirit and living ethos we are witnessing and experiencing in the schools across the diocese. In our current religious climate, people may feel disheartened and may have a sense of those days are gone now. However, from travelling around the various schools, we are very reassured that the faith is very much so alive and well. Only for our primary schools, I don't know where we would be at, and that's the honest truth of it. So please keep up the good work. We fought for many years to protect our country, our native language and our religion. It's part of who we are. So Kamade, Usade, Agus Masse, Gurav Míle Magadh. Finally, I would like to introduce you to Barry O'Leary, the principal of St. John's Primary School in Kenmare.
Hi, I'm Barry O'Leary, principal of St. John's National School in Kenmare. Mine is only one viewpoint, but I'm happy to share my perspective on how we live our Catholic ethos day to day in our school. Ethos isn't about grand statements or grand gestures, it's about how we treat people, how we respond to challenges, and how we create a sense of belonging. It's about nurturing a living relationship with God through our actions and care for one another. Ethos is visible in morning prayers, liturgies, Catholic Schools Week and Grandparents' Day. We see it in sacred spaces, classroom artwork, display boards that follow the liturgical calendar, and in our teaching of Grow in Love. Faith formation and preparation for sacraments are key, but so too are the unseen moments like the quiet act of kindness of a teacher reassuring a child. These embody the principles of Catholic education: dignity, care, community, service, and forming the whole child, mind, body and soul. One of the most satisfying aspects of my role is seeing how we naturally live out our ethos. Teachers support students academically, emotionally and spiritually. Their patience, kindness and fairness are our values in action. Many do not realise that their work reflects the principles of Catholic education, promoting dignity, fostering inclusion and seeking justice. Catholic education is about forming scholars, teaching students to think critically, seek truth and act with wisdom and integrity grounded in faith. A challenge we face is making ethos a living conversation, not an abstract concept. At present, we often struggle to find the space, confidence or expertise to open meaningful discussions about ethos, particularly given the system pressures that demand so much of our focus. But if we can make the time, we could find the space to rediscover the deeper purpose behind our work, which in turn might contribute powerfully to creating a school where ethos is not just spoken about but lived consciously. At the end of the day, the Catholic ethos of our school isn't about what we say, but what we do. How we treat people, how we create a sense of belonging, and how we shape the experience of every child who walks through our doors. It's about reminding staff that their daily care and compassion are not only acts of service, but acts of faith. And by fostering a culture of inclusion, respect, and generosity, we live out our mission. It's in the quiet everyday moments, checking in on a child who's struggling, showing patience when it's needed most, celebrating each student's strengths, that we see our ethos in action. Our job as school leaders is to make the space for those conversations, to notice the good work already happening, and to help our staff see that they are already living the ethos in ways that they may not realise. There's a lot to get right, but if we get it right, we're well on the way to creating a school environment where every child feels known, valued and at home.
Thank you so much, Barry. So that brings to an end our Croke Park Hour webinar. We hope we have given you some encouragement and inspiration and that you have found it beneficial. We wish you and your staff every good wish and God's blessing. Please do not hesitate to contact us for support, and remember that we are your diocesan team and together we are stronger. Gnari live, Slán agus Gurav Míle Magadh.